Hello and welcome back to the Fit as Flock podcast. I am your host, Lindsey Bush, and today I am answering a question that I am commonly asked, and that is intermittent fasting required for weight loss? So this question comes up quite frequently because intermittent fasting is a popular buzzword right now. If you have followed me on social media or you've worked with me over the years, you know that it is a strategy that I do teach to my clients. So I wanted to share some thoughts around it, and hopefully you can take some of this information away and apply it to your own health and wellness journey. So what is intermittent fasting? Intermittent fasting is basically a timed approach to eating. So you'll most often hear people say that they are following a 16-8 protocol. That's kind of like the most popular that you hear out there. That means that people are fasting for a 16-hour period of time and eating their food within an 8-hour window. To make it simple, most people are just skipping breakfast. I don't skip breakfast. I just eat breakfast a little bit later because your girl loves breakfast food. So typically what that might look like is starting to eat for the first time in a day around 11 or noon and then stopping around 7 p.m. or 8 p.m. There are no hard rules that it has to be that time period. I have clients that massage their fasting hours based on what works best for them. So that's really what it is. And during that time, during your fasted period, there are many schools of thought around what is considered truly fasting. There are people that believe you can only consume water. There are people that believe you can consume, coffee, tea, things that are 0 calorie. There are people that do what is called a dirty fast, which that is what I have taught for many, many years, which is anything at or below 50 calories during your fasted window is fair game, essentially meaning we are keeping our blood glucose levels stable. We're not creating these peaks and valleys by staying at or below 50 calories. The reason that I take that approach is not because I think it is superior. It is because it is what is sustainable. And that is something that when people approach weight loss, the very first thing you should be asking yourself when you are considering a program or a plan is it sustainable? So most of my clients, myself included, are not willing to give up their morning cup of coffee with, whatever. I don't drink it black. I use almond milk and liquid stevia, for example. Most of my clients, if I said, you're going to have to give up your morning coffee, are going to be like, I'm out. Like, I'm heading for the hills. I'm out. So that is why we subscribe to the approach of a dirty fast. Now, again, I'm not here to debate which is superior. I'm not here to say, you don't need to come at me and tell me, oh, that's not a true fast, blah, blah, blah. Listen, I've heard it all. Trust me. I've done my research. So that's what we do, right? So you can go and learn about intermittent fasting or fasting in general and make a determination about what you think is the most effective and what makes sense for you. But I want to share with you why I really like the strategy for weight loss specifically. So in order to lose weight, you gotta be in a calorie deficit, right? So for some people, me included in this, staying in a caloric deficit can be difficult. I like to eat. I have no problem consuming my calories, whether that's in a 12-hour period of time or a 5-hour period of time. That's just the facts of life for me. But by shortening the amount of time, by putting up some guardrails, so to speak, it really helps keep you in check in terms of you're kind of cutting out some of those early morning calories, and then your kitchen's closed. When your fasting window shuts, or when your feeding window shuts at 7, 8 p.m., it really helps kind of cut off at the knees that desire or the ability really to indulge in late night snacking. So I really, really like it from a calorie management perspective. Now, I will also say that there are times when I find it difficult to fast. So right now I'm going through a period of time where the last few days I have been ravenous in the mornings. I work out 5 a.m., but I've been fasting, intermittent fasting for years. So for it to all of a sudden be difficult, it's kind of like, what the heck is going on? Well, a couple of things have been at play for me personally. And so I am about a week out from my time of the month. And so we all know as women, we're always hungrier. That's because our metabolic rate actually ticks up slightly. So you're not broken if you struggle around the time of the month feeling really hungry or having cravings and things like that. That has played a role. Also, when I find that I am focused on a training program that is progressive overloading strength training, which I've been doing for well over a year at this point, it makes it a little more challenging. I have truly felt physical hunger earlier in the day, even in the morning. So that has made it a challenge. And I prefer to work out in a fasted state. I don't like feeling like I have food on my stomach. People will argue that it is more effective to train after you've eaten and blah, blah, blah. To that I say, listen to your body. We are all bio-individual. Our bodies are going to tell us exactly what it needs. So, do you try different ways? If you are considering trying intermittent fasting or you're hearing this and you're like, oh, I could see how that might work for me, but I'm a little afraid to try it because I work out really early in the morning. My advice to you would be give it a go. Try it on. Give it at least 2 weeks to see how you feel. You will go through an adjustment period. Before intermittent fasting, I was someone that my feet hit the floor and I went to eat breakfast. So you better believe that there was a period where my body had to adjust. And then it became really second nature. I didn't even feel physically hungry until, 11 or noon. So it became such a non-issue. But I feel as though in the fitness, wellness, weight loss space, we have attempted to make everything so black and white, like you have to fast, or no, you have to eat before you train. It has to be this, it has to be that. Mine is superior, yours is superior. And it's like, okay, wait, what? And so to that I say, listen to your body. Do not subscribe to it has to be this way or it has to be that way. What I personally tell my clients is give it a try. See how your body responds. And if it doesn't work for you, then don't do it. At the end of the day, if you're doing something, no matter what it is, in terms of your approach to weight loss, if it's not something you feel like you can do for the long haul, then you shouldn't be doing it. Now, there are some caveats to that, right? When we think about like tracking in MyFitnessPal and things like that. Those are not necessarily meant to be forever things, but things like the types of food you're consuming, when and how, things of that nature, it should be sustainable. And there can be periods where, depending on what your training goals are, so I'm specifically kind of referring to my situation, where you might change your approach. So my current approach is simply listening to my body. My strategy is I'm gonna do intermittent fasting, but if my body's telling me otherwise, signaling that I am physically hungry, I'm not gonna white knuckle it through the hunger. I am going to go ahead and eat at whatever time that is. It doesn't have to be this, oh, I'm never gonna fast again or whatever. There may be a time down the road when my training style changes for whatever reason, or my physical fitness goals are different than what they are right now. Right now, my goals are, preserving and building lean muscle mass. So listening to my body is really, really important. I don't want to ignore the signaling. And so consuming adequate protein and adequate calories during this time is really important. I don't believe that we get to the point of splitting hairs when we talk about, are you training fasted or fed or this or that? The average person really doesn't need to worry about that. Now, if you're someone that is, approaching menopause, for those of us that are kind of perimenopause, you certainly want to be aware of how your body responds. But for many, many people, fasting is a great strategy. It helps regulate your blood sugar. It can there are lots of people that say lots of different benefits, and so I don't want to get into all of that, because what I really wanted to convey in this particular episode, topic, whatever, is that no, it is not required for weight loss, and the primary reason that people do it when they are attempting to lose weight is because it is a calorie control. It's like a mechanism to help control calories. I like to think of it as my guardrails. So if you are considering a program, if you're trying to be in a calorie deficit and you're finding that it is a struggle for you, maybe give it a try if you haven't tried it before. So remember, if you want to try a dirty fast, because right, that's what I teach because of sustainability. So if that's something that's of a concern to you, anything at or below 50 calories, you're good. So what I primarily tell my clients is pay attention to what goes into your coffee. That's usually where those calories are coming from. And then eating in an 8-hour period of time, and then fasting for a 16-hour period of time. Now, if you are brand new to this and you start to give it a try and you're like, this is a big change for me. I normally eat at 6 a.m. or whatever the time is. What I like to tell people is push breakfast back by 1 hour each day until you get to your desired time frame block, because that way, it's not such a shock to the system. Some people, I'm kind of like a rip the Band-Aid off type of a person, but not everybody is that way. So that's another opportunity for you to kind of take a step back and go, what really makes sense for me and my lifestyle. I also like it because it's one less meal that I have to worry about planning. And like I said earlier in the episode, I don't skip. I actually think I said this in the episode. I started to record this and then I messed it up, and so I deleted it. I delay breakfast because I love breakfast food, and so when I break my fast, it's breakfast. It's breakfast, traditional food you would think of for breakfast, almost 95% of the time. So I like that because it's an easy meal for me to plan. It's easy for me to get quite a bit of protein eating, breakfast related foods. But, I don't then eat I eat traditionally 2 meals and 2 snacks a day, sometimes 3 snacks. So I might break my fast around 11. I will have a snack around 2. I'll eat dinner. We eat dinner really early, super young kids. I also go to bed really early. We eat dinner around 5 or 6. And then I will have what I call a macro cap. So something right when my feeding window is closing. That's traditionally what my eating day looks like. So if you're considering giving it a try, it can look like that. You could also do 3 meals. You could do it that way. I haven't, just because I don't know. I like the way that I'm doing it, so I don't really see a need to change it up. But it's one less meal that I have to plan, and as a busy mom, that's a win for me. So all of that to say, I hope that answers some questions around intermittent fasting, or has given you another perspective, another way to consider whether or not the approach makes sense for you. So I like to think of intermittent fasting as a tool in my toolkit. Is it required to see results? Absolutely not. Is it a strategy that I like to employ from time to time and in many different scenarios? Absolutely. So it's just one more tool, one more strategy that you can use, but you absolutely don't have to. So if you found this episode helpful, please share it. I would really appreciate it. Tag me on Instagram. If you have any requests for future podcast episodes as it pertains to mindset, fitness, nutrition, please shoot me a DM on Instagram at Lindsey Bush. I would love your thoughts on what you would like to hear about. So if you have questions or whatever that you would like me to address, please send them my way. Thanks so much for listening, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.